Well, it has finally gotten cold here, and I think it is going to be actual winter now. Here in South Carolina, we kind of skip fall and go to this period of like hot, cold until it finally decides to stay winter for a while. And I think that we are finally there. The lows are real freezes coming up, and there's no real indication that it is going to really warm up except for like maybe 1 or 2 random days coming into December. And with the time change and the light getting to be less, there is less and less to see in the garden, and also less time to do things in the garden because I'm not waking up early just because the sun is coming up earlier. But there's less to do overall, and I think it is time to kind of settle into this period of rest with the garden. But that doesn't mean that there isn't anything going on, and there's actually something new that I'm excited to show you guys. One of the first things that I see in the garden these days is this giant mint plant. And something I've noticed that's really interesting is that there's a little bit of variation in leaf shape just across this same plant. Some of the leaves are quite pointy on the ends, and then others are very round. So that's just really interesting to see, because this is definitely all one plant that I planted last year. And it is escaping towards my trellises, so it is going to be time to cut it back. Most of this on this side I will just completely cut off, but I've been letting it grow this way through the path because I think it's cute, and also because like I really don't think it can outcompete the grass this way, but if it can, that would be really cool to see. So down this way are the fava beans, and the other day I planted garlic right here directly underneath the trellis. There still isn't anything on that side of the trellis, but fava beans are continuing to grow. They look pretty good overall, although they are not as big as I wanted them to be by this time of year. Like I said last week, they will still grow and probably produce. I just didn't get the timing right for the second year in a row, and that's all right. Also interesting to see with all the warmth we've had, I have a couple of volunteers coming up. I'm pretty sure these are sunflowers, because there would have been a lot of sunflower seeds dropped in this area. These will definitely die, like maybe even tonight with how cold it's getting. I think it's getting down to 28 Fahrenheit. But that's neat to see. Then looking down the next row, we have my store-bought brassicas and celery. But also in this row, I planted some spinach seeds. I have not seen them sprout yet, but I have been checking, and it has been raining. So they should sprout very soon if they are, in fact, a viable seed. This one, I think, sprouted on its own. It is really well spaced. That's a lettuce, by the way. It is really well spaced to have just volunteered there. But I don't think I planted it there. So that's pretty neat. I hope that that grows up, because I don't think I have as much lettuce as I wish I did. I was supposed to have a couple of kale plants, but they haven't been doing so well. The rest of this is broccolis and cauliflowers, and I think further down there are some of these that are Brussels sprouts. Looking at these trellises, this is like the greenest area of the garden. I've got some larger fava beans here because these actually did get planted on time and had enough sunlight to come up. So these are making flowers. Where are they? These are making flowers. Oh yeah, some of them have been pollinated. We should be getting pods very soon on those. I've got the lettuces that I'm pulling from down here, and then I have my peas growing up here. They seem to have been a little unhappy with the cold, and I didn't think it was really that cold for them, but they're not handling it as well as I expected. I did find one singular flower the other day, I think up here. We'll see if I get any peas off of these plants. They look so healthy. It would be such a shame to not get any harvest from them. Down here is my one kale seedling that, to me, it looked like it had broken off at the base, but it didn't look dead yet, so I didn't pull it. And it's been several days now, and it is obviously not dead, but it still looks very broken down there. So I'm just gonna let it keep growing and see what happens, see if it repairs itself and survives. But I am not really expecting to get a lot of harvest off of this particular kale. Right next to it, a bunch of little beans that fell from the trellis trying to sprout. They will also die very soon. I finally pulled the cover off of this area where I had planted carrots, and it looks really lush, but 99% of these are weeds. You can see I do in fact have some carrots in here, but they are very few and far between, and I've been having to slowly extract the weeds from around them when I have time, because these could easily choke them out. But also if I just pull willy-nilly, then I could easily pull my carrots out as well. That one potato plant that was still in here, definitely very dead from the cold. This is my best indicator that it is actually getting below freezing in the garden. And the rest of them I pulled up and saved the baby potatoes, but I might actually just leave this here and let the potatoes sit in the ground and see if they sprout in the spring, because I get curious about stuff like that. Okay, so here's the cool new thing that I really wanted to show you. I have mushrooms. These are wine cap mushrooms. They're a little older, so the cap color has turned brown, which means I didn't pick them quite at the optimal time, but I can still pick them now and eat them fine. I'll put up a picture of what the color of the cap was yesterday so you can see the difference. But I planted these here in the spring, and they're finally starting to come up. I think I saw another fresher one I can show you. There's this teeny one here. It's still got a little bit of that wine color to its cap. These are supposed to be pretty tasty, so I'm looking forward to cooking them up. And then we can look at this last row here, which has all of the small starts that I started from seed. You can see some of them are growing, putting on new leaves, and some of them are still looking incredibly sad. But if we go further down, there is the one Brussels sprout that got put in time. So we've got the old one and the new one, and this one is starting to make tiny little babies. You can see them at the crooks of the leaves right in here. So that's pretty cool. I think I'll be able to actually harvest some Brussels sprouts off of a plant that I grew from seed, started from a seed that I saved myself from one of these plants that went to seed. I'm gonna go ahead and pull some leaves for lunch, and I just thought I'd show you how I do it. I usually pull from the bottom of the plant, and I just pull them off of the base like that. They usually kind of just snap right off. And I'll pull like 2 or 3 leaves from each plant depending on how big and healthy they look. Sometimes the leaves are a little damaged near the bottom, and damage is fine. Dirt is also fine. Like this leaf, I might pull off any discoloration, but if it's just holes, that's perfectly edible. And then to add to my pile of leaves and mushrooms, I'm going to pick up some raspberries. These keep coming in a few at a time, and they've been absolutely delicious. Oh, this one looks a little eaten. Little dirt never hurt anybody. They're so sweet. And it's really nice to just be able to like pick them fresh like every day. Like, what is this life that I am living? It's so cool. I'm actually going to add these into my salad, make like a sweet salad with feta cheese and some walnuts, which is my favorite. Also, just a point of interest, these are turnips. You can see here I dropped my turnip head that was full of seeds down off my porch, and now I have turnips growing in my lawn. This one actually doesn't look that bad. It's kind of beautiful. So that's interesting. Plants just want to grow, you know? Alrighty guys, well that is it for me today. Short garden tour. These ones in the winter usually are, but as always you can check back next week for another garden tour, because as fast or as slow as things are going, I will continue to update you guys and give you like a holistic view of what a real garden looks like all year round. Additionally, if you need to catch up, I'll put the playlists for last year and this year up here. As always, if you like and subscribe, it really helps support the channel. And there's an extra option if you want to go the extra mile to support me on Patreon, and that link is below as well. Thank you guys so much, and until next time, happy gardening!